When I come across a city or a region doing extraordinary things, it reminds me, if they can do it, we can probably do it too. For years, I've been searching the world for solutions that work, especially in the face of big, urgent challenges such as climate change and economic disruption. But not just good ideas, real-world examples, places making bold change happen. But it's not just about the places, it's about the people I come across along the way. They give me hope, inspiration, people rolling up their sleeves and getting stuff done. And spending time with inspiring people makes me feel just a little bit cooler by association as well. And I work in economic policy, so I need all the help I can get. But ultimately, I want to feel optimistic about the future, and I want you to feel that way too. So let me start with one of the most inspiring stories I've come across recently. Earlier this year, I met with one of those people, Heidi Sorensen. Heidi heads up climate policy at the Norwegian city of Oslo. And the story Heidi told me has stuck with me ever since. A few years ago, Oslo made a bold decision. They said, on city construction sites, there would be no more fossil fuels. Now, perhaps to some of you that doesn't sound too radical, but if you think about construction sites, they're full of big diesel machines, dirty, smelly, noisy. The idea of going electric seemed impossible. Even the idea of biodiesel was met with a lot of resistance. Builders pushed back. They said the technology wasn't ready, it would be too expensive. But Heidi and her team pressed on regardless. They developed the policy, they briefed the council, they oversaw implementation of the policy, and they carried on despite the doubters. Now, this is my new acquisition. It's obviously not a full-size electric digger, but it is a pretty good representation of Oslo's climate policy. No diesel involved, no fumes, quiet, just progress in miniature form. Now, imagine though thousands of these around the world. Full-size ones, of course. That's what Oslo made possible. Oslo started small. They said, if you wanted a city construction contract, you needed to demonstrate that you were reducing your emissions. They started with schools, libraries. They learnt by doing. And it's worked. Today, 98% of Oslo city construction sites are fossil fuel free. And 2/3 of machinery hours are now powered by renewable electricity. And here's the really cool thing. Oslo's actions have helped shape a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Last year, the global market for electric construction machinery was $18 billion. That's on track to be worth $90 billion by 2032. Oslo hasn't just helped reduce emissions. They've helped change the future of construction. Now, we are living through an enormous economic transformation. Right now, there is more money being reallocated than almost any other time in human history. A decade or so ago, the amount of money being spent on the energy transition was about $580 billion a year. Last year, it was $3.2 trillion. That's $3,200 billion. That's a really big number. I did the maths with my daughter and we worked out that I could buy a brand new cruise ship every week for the rest of my life with that money, and probably still have a little bit of money left over to buy a house in Melbourne or Sydney. The scale of this is quite phenomenal. In just a decade, the increase in the amount spent on the energy transition has been fivefold, and yet we're only just getting going. That amount's got to more than triple again as we head on our way towards net zero. We're talking tens of trillions of dollars being reallocated every year for decades to come. And this money is going to clean energy, to electric transport, to the power grid, to electrification of buildings, to support for new clean industries. Whichever way you look at it, the money is all pointing in the same direction. And this is not about government stimulus or policy even. This is a fundamental reorientation of the global financial system. Banks are now reorienting their lending towards sustainable infrastructure and supply chains. Australia's largest bank, the Commonwealth Bank, now refuses to lend to fossil fuel companies unless they can demonstrate they're serious about reducing their emissions. Australian superannuation funds managing $4 trillion worth of your money, reallocating their money towards sustainable outcomes too. 82% of them are committed to net zero. That's hundreds of billions of dollars being reallocated to clean energy, sustainable infrastructure, climate-friendly industries. And the biggest companies are also committed to net zero. On the Australian Stock Exchange, the 200 biggest companies, 2/3 of them are committed to net zero. If you're another company supplying to those big companies, you'll be reducing your emissions too because you risk losing your supply contract otherwise. And finally, insurance companies are also walking away from fossil fuels. Globally, 60% of insurance companies now refuse to insure coal, and 40% of them won't go anywhere near oil or gas either. And what happens when a project can't get insurance? Typically, it won't get built. That's not government policy, that's capitalism in action. We're not at the beginning of this transformation, we're right in the middle of it, and it's only picking up pace. There's huge investment opportunities here, transforming industries and regions. But not every region will benefit equally. It's going to be those industries that are proactive, that investing in what's required, securing the talent, attracting the capital, they're the ones that are going to win. Let me give you an example, London. London isn't just attracting climate capital, they are doing so with intent and purpose. A few years ago, the City Mayor and the London Sustainable Development Commission embarked on a big clean tech roadmap. Quite ambitious, they wanted to position London as a hub for low carbon innovation. They backed it up with action. They had a green growth plan aligning their zero carbon ambitions with their jobs and growth objectives. They invested in physical infrastructure such as London Green City. That's a place where clean tech startups can go and develop and scale and test their technologies. Events like the London Climate Technology Show enable innovators to meet with investors and buyers. And this approach works. In 2023, London-based climate tech startups attracted more than $5 billion in venture capital. It's a model for other cities to follow. London shows what happens when you create the right climate, when innovators and investors and infrastructure and ambition all come together to tackle climate challenges. Let's take you a little bit closer to home. A few years ago, we asked the question, what would happen if Melbourne became a climate solutions hub? We got together people already working on the challenge. We've got startups, innovators, engineers, investors, researchers, public servants. And that became the origins of what's now known as the Melbourne Climate Network. It wasn't a lot of money, it wasn't a big budget initiative, but there was a lot of energy. Every event we held initially was standing room only. People made new connections, forged new collaborations, worked on gnarly problems together. And we discovered that we had all the right ingredients, we just needed to connect them. We just needed to create the environment for people to come together. That's how you generate momentum. That's how you find your niche. And cities everywhere are doing that. Right around the world at the moment, cities everywhere are racing to find ways in which they can take a piece of that emerging climate economy. Places like Port Kembla in New South Wales positioning itself as a hub of green hydrogen, already attracting billions of dollars. Copenhagen in Denmark, world leader in zero carbon shipping and ports. Gladstone in Queensland, framing itself as the emerging centre of green metals. Helsinki moving from coal-based heating to geothermal innovation. Gippsland in Victoria, transitioning from coal to offshore wind. Stockholm, building a climate startup scene based on research and development. The list goes on and on and on. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If your town is waiting to see what happens, you risk missing out entirely because other cities are not waiting. They're doing the deals, they're attracting the capital, they're securing the talent. Let me leave you with something that's really close to my heart. Because this is not just about economic theory. Economic development changes lives. It's about ensuring that our kids have good jobs, better opportunities than their parents. It's about creating thriving, future-focused industries, healthy, livable communities, great schools, fantastic local services. That's what great economic development offers. Whether or not you care about climate and I really hope you do, there's one message I'd like to leave you with, and that is there is a giant bucket of money waiting for you to tap into it. But if you wait, if you hesitate, that opportunity will be lost. The money will go to other cities, other places who are already taking action, already moving. The next economic boom will be won by places that lead on climate. Now, perhaps you don't need to be Oslo, but I would wager that your city needs more people like Heidi, people who can see the opportunity, hold tight to the vision, and make progress happen. And perhaps that person is you, because the race is on, someone has to win, and why not your city? Why not now? Let's go. Thank you.